Hello and welcome. We are here in Orlando, Florida for the IAADFS Duty Free Show of the Americas. I'm here with Richard Rendek, who is the CEO for North America Nuance Group, and we're here just to, it's quite timely because it's only a day since the contract extension was awarded to you guys, so congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
But I'm going to start our questions off today by talking about revenue.
Sure.
I believe that the business in the Americas region constitutes about 7% of Nuance's total revenue, or roughly 183 million. Mm-hmm. And that's according to 2012 figures of the company's overall revenues. Do you think this is likely to change in the next few years with all those exciting developments that you've got going on?
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
But I would say that, so that's 2012. I think if you go back to 13, we're probably closer to 10, with revenues exceeding a couple of $100 million. And that doesn't include our joint ventures where we're less than half. So when you add in that additional revenue, you get into 230, 240, that kind of thing. So it keeps going up, which is the important thing. I am very hopeful that it continues to increase. Obviously, that only comes through growth, but it also depends on the initiatives of my colleagues overseas as well. And I think they have a good track record of growing also. So we need to beat them in their growth initiatives. But we've got some opportunities coming up that haven't existed in the Americas for a while, at least in North America, I should say, and that is contracts in San Francisco, Miami, Washington, Detroit. These are all coming up in the next few years, and we aim to be a big part of competing for those, and hopefully we'll be successful in at least some of them.
Mm-hmm. So it's a highly competitive business anyway, but also in the region that you specified. What's your strategy going forward, and what's your USP?
Well, I think our USP, and I would agree with you, that the level of competitiveness is very large here. I guess it is probably everywhere in the world, but from a retail landscape, our USP is simply that retail customer service. It's got to be top-notch in the Americas, or at least North America, simply because that's what there's a standard here that you need to meet. People are very impatient, they're on the go, they want it and they want it now. So we have spent millions of dollars as a company overseas and in America as well with respect to bringing that up to an industry high standard. So I think from a business development point of view, when we go into a new contract, these are some of the things that we illustrate, and it drives PSR and therefore drives sales, and enables us to pay a higher degree of rent, which landlords are always going to like. So I would say that that's a USP, and it's important in an environment where duty-free isn't necessarily well known.
Well, let's move on to that. How is Nuance aiming to promote the duty-free message in North America? Because Canadians and the Americans perhaps don't view duty-free in the same way as the Europeans do.
Well, I think first, it's a great question. I think probably the first piece of a response to that is to understand the landscape in the USA. I'm not sure that awareness is necessarily the issue. It does have a role to play, but let's consider a few factors that are unique. First of all, in the United States, probably retail consumption and retail square footage per capita are the highest in the world. There are people that come from all over the world simply to shop in America. Okay, so there's not a lot of countries that can say that. The tax environment, domestic tax environment in the United States, I think is the lowest in any developed country. So you're looking at a value proposition from a duty-free perspective that is not large compared to other countries. So while there's awareness, it's not as great as it is in some other countries. Let's say you're in Ireland, don't forget to buy your duty-free. Well, of course, because every time you travel out of the country, you have a duty-free opportunity. That leads to the next point. 87%, I believe, of traffic in the U.S., air traffic last year was domestic. They're not leaving the country. So as a result, tax paid is a much, much bigger airport industry here than duty-free. So from an awareness point of view, I think that there is an awareness, but the value proposition isn't as big, and the environment versus tax paid isn't as big. That doesn't stop us from doing what we have to do to try and promote duty-free. And one of the biggest ways we do that is through the IAADFS, which is having the show here this week. They do things like, try and develop better liquid and gel rules to, promote those types of products through bottlenecking in the system. And they continue to work on that. Also, these shows that bring all the suppliers together, they continue to promote, package, push duty-free exclusives, which puts it on the radar versus domestic. So it's in that way that we can increase awareness of what duty-free is and the unique opportunities in it.
So now we're here with Richard's colleague, John Menchella, who is a Senior Vice President for Business Development, and he's going to talk to me about the recent contract extension at Orlando, but also the Fort Lauderdale contract as well. So let's start with the Fort Lauderdale contract, and obviously tremendous for you guys. Just again, how significant was that for you?
We view it as a very significant opportunity for us. First of all, it demonstrates the vote of confidence that the airport administration has given us. The other thing that's happening in Fort Lauderdale is there's a major terminal development going on. And as part of the process, we're going to be given additional space. So it allows us to expand our duty-free offering and therefore increase the business, which is a benefit not only to us, obviously, but the airport administration.
Of course. So can you tell us what you have planned for the next 7 years? Are there any things you can sort of tell us about?
The development's going to happen in phases.
Right.
So the development's going to happen over the course of the next few years. In the short term, we're going to make some enhancements to the existing business to the extent we can, because we're very limited in our space. As they complete various phases of the expansion and redevelopment, we'll be given more space to which we can build new stores and therefore increase our duty-free offering to the traveling public.
Can you talk about the portfolio at all? Anyone that you've...
Well, it's going to be a function, quite frankly, of the gating assignments. So it's a little bit premature because we have to modify our assortments accordingly. So, you know, right now we have a plan based on where they expect to gate certain passengers. However, as we all know, in an airport environment, that could be changing, and we have to be flexible and change accordingly.
So now we'll switch over to talking about Orlando, where you've got this 3-year contract extension,
yes,
which is fantastic. You have had a great relationship with the airport anyway. You've installed and introduced new concepts and, as you say, a state-of-the-art shopping facility. Just how well has that been received by travellers so far?
Well, we began operations in December of 2012 in Orlando. At that time, we had 2 locations which we built. One was in Airside 4, which is about a 5,500 square foot store, and one in Airside 1, which is about 2,500 square feet. I guess you could say our offer is well received because we've increased sales significantly, and more important.
Can you tell us by how much?
And well, I can tell you that spend per employment has increased by 15%. Now, this is significant because at the same time, once we began operations, we were dealing with some significant gating reassignments. For example, in Airside 4, that store was built to cater to the South American passenger. However, the airport gated them at the Airside 1 location, and we didn't have the right offer for them. So we made some enhancements to our merchandise offering to the extent that we could, given the space that we had to work with. However, we got into discussions with the airport about expanding the space in Airside 1, and as a result, we're going to make a significant investment. We're going to add some boutiques which better cater to the South American customer, and as a result we've received a 3-year extension as part of that discussion to help us amortize our capital investment.
Okay. And can you tell us anything more about what you plan to do in the next 3 years that might change significantly, that's the exciting new concepts?
Well, the concepts that we're planning to open up there will be boutiques in Airside 1, which will include a MAC boutique, a Venda, as well as L'Occitane. So that's where we're going to open up. We're also going to make other changes to merchandise assortments. Again, we're always looking at our assortments to make sure that it's the right product for the customer demographics that are going through the particular store location.
It seems that all the retailers are after the Brazilian passenger at the moment, so I guess you've really got to do your research about what these passengers want, and obviously you've done this.
It's a very growing segment in Orlando. I've noticed I've been coming to Florida. I'm a Canadian, so we come to Florida often for vacation, especially in the cold winter months. And I've noticed a big dramatic change in the last 10 years. You can see it in the domestic retail setting, such as the factory outlet stores, where now it's predominantly South American customers that are shopping in those outlet facilities. And obviously it translates into the airport, because now they're going to be going and departing from Orlando International. So it's a very growing segment and a very important segment in terms of spend. As
TRBusiness reported back in December, Nuance won a 10-year contract at Viracopos Airport in Brazil, which was obviously fantastic. Because it started a whole new era.
It is.
For Nuance. Can you talk about the significance of this?
I can. I mean, I can talk a little bit about it because I do have some involvement in it. As you probably know, we don't have a presence in Brazil, and this is our first crack at the market, so we're very excited. I think in order to build something really special from the get-go, we put sort of a team together from our global group that includes some people from North America, includes some people from Europe, which has come together really nicely to also, I guess, integrate a lot of our global concepts into one group. So we're in the middle of doing that, and I think it's very important as we go to build local people and build a local management team. And we're also doing that. So I think the whole goal is not just to set up a wonderful operation, but to give us clearly a platform for growth. We think that Rio will come out in the next couple of years. We want to be firmly established in the country before that comes out. So I think the idea in the end is to make it its own region and to make its growth potential on its own and come to the market as soon as contracts expire.
I guess that means setting up a team in South America.
It does, and we've already started the process. So we're interviewing daily for various positions. I think we've hired a dozen people already, and we're continuing to hire probably a dozen more. So we're getting going,
serious business.
Yeah, it's serious business. We're going to be there, so we need to do it right.
So thank you, Richard, for your time today. It's been enlightening, and we look forward to seeing what comes from Nuance in the next few years.
Great, thanks for your time as well, Charlotte. I look forward to doing it next time.